Hello everyone, the date is the 15th of July 2025, and in this video I'm going to talk about the concept of stereotypes. Now, the word stereotype is a word that I don't particularly like, and the reason for that is because it has connotations of being incorrect. So, in my opinion, it is undoubtedly the fact that there are common patterns of behaviour that are distinct from one group to another, from one social group to another. Now, those social groups could differ along the lines of gender, race, nationality, age. Young people, for example, like to listen to music, like to go to gigs. They like to, well, it would have been once buy, but it's now download music from whatever they are using, Spotify or whatever. So you could argue that there is a stereotype of young people being very much into music. But the definition of the word stereotype, depending on where you see the definition, some are kind of more open-minded than others. Usually it carries with it the belief or insinuation that the beliefs that we hold about people in different groups, from different groups, whether it's gender, race, nationality, age, etc., are erroneous. They are wrong. But they're not. Now, the way that the human mind works is through a process of deduction and induction. This is how we perceive the world and make sense of the world. And we've been doing this for millions of years throughout our evolution. Induction is where we go from a specific to the general. So let's say, for example, that there is a race of people who exist in the world who are all green. And let's say all the green people, or there is at least a higher majority of all the green people that we meet who seem to be particularly intelligent. Then from these specific instances, we then induce a general principle, which is, well, based on all my experience, green people tend to be very intelligent, highly intelligent. And then deduction is the process by we go from the general to the specific. So let's say, for example, that we are working in a job and our employer recruits a new person at our place of employment who happens to be green. We then deduced, based on our general conclusion, that green people tend to be particularly intelligent, that this person that we've just been introduced to is going to be intelligent, is going to be particularly intelligent, more so than the rest of the other people that we meet who aren't green. This is something that, as I say, we've done for millions of years, and it was necessary for our survival to be able to do this. So in our hunter-gatherer days, if we came across an animal like a shrew that was really tame, if all our experiences of a shrew were that it was completely harmless, then we would induce a general principle that all shrews are harmless. And then the next time we were out, we'd go, oh, what's that? Oh, it's only a shrew. Right, okay, right, carry on. Go about our day, not a threat. If, on the other hand, every time we'd come across a tiger, it had chased us, bit us, we'd witnessed it kill one of our friends or relatives, then very quickly we would start to realise that a tiger is a dangerous animal. We would form that induction, and we would induce that general rule. Then when we're out and about doing our hunter-gathering, if then we came across a tiger, we'd run for the hills, most likely, or run up a tree in order to avoid it, because we had deduced from our general principle that all tigers are probably dangerous, that this particular tiger is going to be dangerous. Now, there's always going to be exceptions. You know, you're going to get some tigers who aren't aggressive, very placid. They're probably the ones who might end up dying out, you know, who don't reinforce their genes. And also you might have the odd shrew that can be quite violent at times. But the point is, different people in the world, again, it goes along lines of politics, race, nationality, gender, age. They will share certain characteristics more so than any other group. That doesn't mean to say that every single member of that category, of that group, will have those characteristics. Just that, as a general rule, more people within that group will share those characteristics than members of another group. But we don't like to think like that, because if you start going down that road, then it breeds separation. It can breed racism, because if I was to talk about a certain group of people and how they all seem to share positive characteristic, people would still maybe get a little bit uncomfortable because I was kind of talking about a specific group, particularly if it was an ethnic group or a racial group. But ultimately they'd go, oh, fair enough, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Now, if I then speak disparagingly about a certain group and say I've tended to notice that group X tend to be, I don't know, ill-tempered or stupid or, you know, lacking in morals, whatever, then immediately I'm racist. Ever since World War II, we are particularly obsessed as a society with rooting out racism. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is we've kind of taken it to a level where we're kind of denying our own experiences. Because if you look at the definition of stereotypes, it either explicitly states it or it implies that stereotypes are usually wrong, and they're not. Because if you assume that all stereotypes are wrong, then you are then making an assumption that everyone is the same, and everyone isn't the same. And you only need to know that by actually getting out and having a life. Those of us who work, those of us who have to integrate with the outside world will notice these patterns. Your keyboard warriors, instead, their experience will be what they read online. And they then become more out of touch with reality. So that's my thoughts on the concept of stereotypes. Again, let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will endeavour to reply to you if you do comment. Alright, so that's it for now, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks for watching.